Hi, I'm Tom Henson. I'm a senior associate here at Melbourne Capital. I help my clients with all aspects of wealth management and investment advice. I'm here today with Daniel Earl from API, who specialises in UK property for investment purposes.
As Tom said, it's a situation where API are the best in the world in terms of UK property investments. We source, from a market research perspective, we source the best of the best. From a pure investment-led perspective, it's about taking the emotion out of this, looking at the macro and microeconomic fundamentals on what to buy, how to buy, and then the structure along that from a leverage perspective, a tax perspective, and keeping it from into a hands-off, hassle-free investment. So we'll even rent it out for you and look at the whole portfolio optimization piece to make sure that your money isn't getting stale and you're keeping on optimizing that from whatever your strategy might be, whether that's a 5-year play, a 10-year play, if you're looking for a yield or capital appreciation.
The feedback I get from my clients that have bought properties through you and through API is that they're very happy with the end-to-end process of helping them find the right property, finding tenants for that property, managing the property throughout. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, definitely. And look, this all comes down to API being an investor-led business where we try and make everything as hands-off, hassle-free for the investor. We just talked briefly about the market research and the huge amounts of detail that we go into with that. So sourcing the project and the due diligence layer, 121-point due diligence sign-off, and Michael Layton, who was the founder of the business, had very senior positions in the commercial real estate sector, which is a very heavily regulated asset class, and taking that regulated mindset to an unregulated asset class and putting those layers of protection in for the investors. And then after that stage, you've got sort of the consultation stage, which I work very closely with you with, as you know, where we're looking at what's the strategy of the investor. So, do they need yield now? Or they want to live off that money? And so we'd look at something that's live with a high yielding option. If they've got a 5-year spread where they're trying to sort of look at capital appreciation and how much money can we generate that way. It all depends on the different strategy that they have. Then we'll find the right product for them. And then we've got a whole sales progression team, which will help them at each different stage throughout the process, holding their hand all the way through legals, contracts, construction updates. We'll bring in sort of our partners from a mortgage perspective to make sure they've got the right leverage in there. And usually we bring in 1 or 2 of those to make sure that they've got a full spread of the market. Then we'd look at from a tax layer perspective and what sort of special purpose vehicle that we think would be right for them. So I've actually got a number of properties with API and at Redstone, our management business. And it's a complete investor-led, investor-centric business where, I don't even know the names of half of my tenants. I've never spoken to anyone about a boiler breaking, anything like that. To the extent where one of my properties was rented out recently in Birmingham and the tenants didn't even want the parking space. They've even rented that out for £150 extra to give me even a better ROI, which actually offsets a lot of the costs which were associated with the management. Yeah, we've got the portfolio optimization piece to make sure that we're constantly optimizing this from to execute the strategies that they're looking to do. So a lot of times in an off-plan build, we'll have made enough money to maybe release that equity and maybe buy another one if their strategy is to build a portfolio. Or if they want to pay it off and they want the yield off it, some of them might be loading into that and using that equity to offset the stamp duty, put more leverage in there, so they have a better loan to value and go straight into repayment mortgages.
Good. I mean, it's great that we've got this relationship with API because having a diversified portfolio is key to investment managing.
Before anything, API are a market research business. So I sit on the Global Investment Committee. We've looked at over 900 developments over the last year, and we've signed off around 11. So that's under a 1% sort of sign-off rate with that. And after that, we have to go to a whole due diligence layer where we've got 121-point sign-off for a due diligence layer, looking at liquidity of developers, looking at putting all the assurance wrappers around that, because first API stands for assured property investment. So what we're trying to do is, first of all, it's assurance and looking at what we're actually selling to investors is safe, secure, looking at getting personal guarantees from developers and things like that. But from a sourcing perspective, it's all data driven, right? So we're looking at corporate behavior, supply and demand imbalances and how all of that works, and really drilling down on what the key factors are that show supply and demand imbalances. So things like education, corporate relocation, transport, and sort of trying to buy in the middle of there in the middle of these cities in Zone 1. So if you look at places like Birmingham or Manchester, you've got to build 5,000 units a year for the next until 2042 just to keep up with current demand. And then what we're doing is we're finding where the growth zones are within these growth zones, within Zone 1, next to the right transport links, walking distance from corporate behaviour or universities.
Daniel and I will be hosting a regular webinar event talking about the investment opportunities into UK property. Daniel will be talking about in more detail about how API help find the perfect opportunity within the UK and how they manage the process of buying, finding tenants and managing the property for you.
Yeah, look forward to seeing you all there. Details are below.